You're now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve is yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That is a go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together to a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, techniques, and mindsets, all underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called work on your game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is how to make your money back, how to create a return on investment from any personal growth investment. So in other words, when you invest in yourself, and you've heard me talk many times here on this show, and if you follow me anywhere else, you've heard me talk about it, investing in yourself, how can you make sure that you get ROI from those investments? And there's a specific reason why I want to talk about this one specifically, because I talked about investing in yourself, and of course, anytime you put something in, you want to get something out, right? And you know about the law of karma. I've talked about it many times here, that when you put something in, you should expect to get something out, as long as you put it in the right way and you take the right actions around it. But today we're going to talk about exactly what those actions are and what those right ways are, so that you don't even have to be worried about making a mistake in this area. Now, before I get into it, first let me tell you that I send out a daily motivation text message every single morning to everyone who's in my texting community. If you would like to receive that text, and I know you do, all you got to do is text me at the number that I'll send that text from. My number is 305-384-6894. Send me a text at that number right now. You'll be receiving my daily motivation every single day straight to your phone, free of charge. And as a bonus, once you text me there and you start getting responses and you start getting my daily motivation text every day, you can reply to any message that you receive, and that is me who will be replying back to you. You ask anybody who is in my texting community, and they will tell you, yes, I do respond to text messages. I will reply to you, and yes, it is me that you are texting. So you can text me at that number again, 305-384-6894. Now, the topic again today is how to make sure you make your money back from any personal growth investment. So when I say a personal growth investment, this is for those of you who need to understand why it is worth it, because again, you don't want to put something in and not get something back. Why would it be worth it to do something like going to an event, paying money to go to an event? You pay for the ticket, you pay for your flight, your hotel, the food. That can be a big investment, relatively speaking, depending on how much money you got. Signing up for a course, hiring a coach, joining a mastermind program, buying a book. All of these things are personal growth investments that do not necessarily give you an exact dollar amount back in multiples of what you put in. Like, you might pay $10 for a book, but it's not like when you finish reading a book, a $20 bill is going to fall out the back of the book, right? Or you might hire a coach for $100. Doesn't mean when you get done working with the coach that they're going to hand you $500 in cash based on your $100 investment. So how do you actually make a return on investment and know that you made a return on investment from any personal growth investment that you make? And this is something that I've talked about you with, and when I say you, I mean the audience here. I've talked about you with this many times here on this show. Most recently, I talked about why you need to attend live events. That was episode 2018. Because when you go to a live event, I remember the last live event that I went to, actually, the last live event I went to was actually a virtual, it was live, but it was a virtual live event, and it was, what was it, $200 that I paid for that ticket, a 2-day event. But before that, the last in-person live event I went to, that was probably about a $4,000 investment between the ticket, the hotel, the flight, the food. And even if you want to factor in, I'm not even factoring it in that number, the opportunity cost of what I was not doing while I was 5 days away from home, not doing my thing, like doing this right here. These events, the costs can go up. And these costs can be, again, relatively speaking, it can be high based on how much money you have and how much you're used to spending. And when I got back from that event, and where I invested probably $3,000 to $4,000, it's not like, again, it wasn't a check for $5,000 sitting here to pay me back for what I put into it. So how can I be so sure that that was even a good investment? How could I explain to you that it was a smart thing for me to do to go to that event? And as a matter of fact, from that last event that I went to, I spent more money after the event because the people who hosted it, they kept selling me stuff after, and I kept buying it. So I've invested probably close to a lot of money. Let's just say a lot of money. Let's just say it's in the 5 figures how much I invested from that last event I went to. Not only the event itself, but everything that came after it. Why is it worth it for me? All right, why is that worth it? How can I see that as something that makes sense? And why is it something that I would do again? I'm going to explain to you not just for me, why it makes sense for me. I'm going to explain to you why it will make sense for you to do it and how you can make sure it will make sense for you. Because the whole point of this is for me to indoctrinate you. Is those of you who already understand this, you should still listen to it, because maybe you can give somebody else the game with this and maybe you'll hear something that you hadn't thought of. But those of you who have never, or you've never been so keen on, or it was never taught to you, it was never modeled for you to invest in yourself. That's really who this episode is for. And the reason why this matters so much to me is because whenever someone asks me the question, I get asked this question often. So I have a lot of people in my audience I have a very wide ranging audience, but I have a lot of people in my audience who are younger, especially you athletes out there, or those of you who've been following me since the athlete days, who you might be a generation or two younger than me. And I often get asked by people, Dre, what would you tell your younger self? And any of you who is older, quote unquote, than some of the people who may be talking to you, you probably get asked the same question. All right, what's something you would tell yourself 20 years ago or 10 years ago? What's something you wish you did sooner? Or what's something you wish you knew earlier, et cetera, et cetera. The main thing, if I could only give one answer to that question, what would I tell my younger self? The answer has never changed. It is this: I wish I had known about investing in myself sooner. If there's one thing that I wish I knew earlier in life, is the concept of investing in myself. If you listen to this show, you know what episode of this show I refer to the most in other episodes is episode 609, which is the 5 forms of investment. I wish I knew about that 20 years before this show started. I wish I'd known about it sooner, because nobody taught me that. It was not modeled to me that you invest in yourself. I never even heard that phrase. It wasn't modeled to me. You buy a book, because the $20 that you spend on the book, you might get $2,000 worth of knowledge and experience from reading the book that you don't have to go out in your life and live, because there's only so much time you have in life. You don't have time to get all the experience from everything that could be in a book. You can get the information in a book much faster. It was never told to me, hey, invest in going to an event, because even though you might spend $500 for the ticket, what you learn there might make you $10,000 over the next 5 years after that. But you got to be smart enough to apply it. Nobody ever told me those things. So I wish somebody had told me that. So if I'm telling somebody, if I'm mentoring anyone who's listening to this right now, and you're 10 years younger than me, or 20 years younger than me, or 2 years younger than me, that's what I would tell you. Investing in yourself is the most important thing that you need to understand. There's not even anything specifically that I'm going to tell you need to do. But when you understand the concept, you will make the decisions on your own where to invest and in what to invest. That's why this is an important topic, because the more people we have who understand the concept of investing in themselves, if everybody understood this, well, let me tell you what we would not have. We would not have a lot of people wasting time on the internet on things that are not helping you. Not a lot of people wasting time on things that are not paying you back, where you are giving up your resources, your time, money, attention, energy, and focus, but getting nothing in exchange for them. Because there's a lot of people who are wasting their time on this. I told you about this in episode 1690. The deep secret that the social media platforms don't want you to know is that they are sucking your resources away from you, but they're giving you nothing back in exchange except cheap dopamine hits. In other words, empty calories. They're making a whole lot off of it because they're sucking your resources away, but you're getting nothing out of it except, again, those dopamine hits that at the end of the day, it's kind of like masturbation. It feels good in the moment, but in the end, you're only fucking yourself. Right? So I want to make sure you all understand the value of investing in yourself, so that when you utilize your resources, your time, money, attention, energy, focus, you are actually using them in ways that will help you later on in the future, not just be a sunk cost for you. You got it? Point number 1. Today's topic, again, is how to make your return on investment from any personal growth endeavor that you get involved in, anywhere from a book to a course to an event to a mastermind program to a whatever else you could do. Number 1, believe in yourself. Yes, this is the most important aspect of getting a return on investment from any personal growth investment you make, is you must believe in yourself. Now, how is that the number 1 point? Here's how. The number 1 factor in any investment that any of us makes in life is not the investment item itself. In other words, if you buy a book, or you see those books over my shoulder here, all of those are my books. If you buy any of those books from me, or you pay the shipping to get any one of those books from me for free, all right, what you paid, the $9.95 that you paid for the shipping of the 3rd day, or the Mirror Motivation, or Overseas Basketball Blueprint, all right, the number 1 factor in whether or not you get a return investment from that book, it has nothing to do with the book itself. The book is already proven, because you're looking at the person who wrote it. All right, the book's already proven. It was written by me, so I know what's in the book. I know the game that book comes from, because I'm a product of it. And if you're listening to me, if you've seen it, then you know that I know what I'm talking about. So number one factor has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with the coach that you hired or the gym that you signed up for or the event that you decided to go to. That is not the number one factor in what happens here. Number one factor is you. Yes, you, the one who made the investment. Why is this the number one factor? Is because you are the one who must actually read the book. You're the one who has to actually come to the gym. You're the one who has to actually use whatever your coach tells you. You're the one who has to actually apply the notes that you took when you went to that event. You're the one who has to actually follow what the course is telling you to do. You're the one who has to actually take notes on whatever the speaker is saying. You're the one who has to show up for what you signed up for. Because the thing is already proven. That's why it's out there. That's why it's being sold in the first place. All right, you got to show up and do something with it. See, this is the one thing about personal development investments. It doesn't do the work for you, as opposed to any other type of many other things that we can buy in life. We buy them because we don't have to do anything. And this is why most people don't invest in personal development, because investing in personal development is not a set it and forget it thing. It's not, all right, I paid $10 for the book. Now I should be motivated. Now I should be disciplined. Now I should be inspired every single day. Now I should have a job playing professional basketball overseas. It doesn't work like that. Personal development, not only do you make the investment in the thing and whatever it costs, but you also got to make the investment in actually showing up and doing something. See, it's a twofold thing. Whereas passive investments, those other kind of things that we pay money for, we don't have to do anything. We just pay for it and then it does everything for us. The problem with that is, actually, let's not call it a problem. The difference with that, let's just call it a difference, is that it's not going to make you better. It's not going to make you better because you paid for something and now you don't have to do anything else. All right, the only way that you're going to grow in life is voluntarily. I've said this before. After puberty, the only way a human being grows is voluntarily. They must grow on purpose. There must be intention behind their growth. They must actually do something on purpose to grow any further than the stages of puberty. Many human beings get past puberty, which ends at, let's say, somewhere between the ages of 18 and 25 years. And many people live the next 60 years never growing at all. They never grow again. After age 22, let's say puberty is completed, that man or that woman never grows again. There's no growth, no mental growth, no spiritual growth, no emotional growth, no physical growth, no financial growth, no kind of growth. Why? Because they have not done anything intentional to continue making themselves better. Many people get out of school, and studies have shown this. I don't remember what the exact stat is, but it was a high number. It was somewhere between 80 and 90% of people after they graduate from school, whether it's high school, college, whatever level of school they finish at, and they never read another book again in their lives. 80 to 90% of people after school never read another book ever again. That sounds crazy to me, but it might not sound so crazy to you. Shit, I might be talking about you. Yeah, you might want to change that because you don't want to find yourself in the same grouping with 80 to 90% of people. That's just my opinion. You don't have to take it. Believing in yourself is the number one factor in any personal development investment you make, because you have to believe that since you made this investment, then now you're going to take the second step and actually apply what you get from the investment. In other words, you're going to do what the book tells you to do. You're going to follow what the course is prescribing for you. You're going to do what the coach is saying. All right, this is the thing that needs to happen. All right, now you got to go do it. You are the one who must use, apply, and show up for whatever it is that you signed up for. This is the thing about personal development investments, that they do not do the work for you. You still have to do the work, but you are investing in yourself so that you have a strategy and a process in place that you can follow so that you can produce a return on that investment. That's the purpose of personal development. But if you are not personally invested in ways other than just your dollars, then you will not produce the desired result. This is an important point, what I just said right there. In personal development, in all other areas of life, all you got to do is put up some money and everything else will take care of itself. In personal development, you got to put up some money and you have to put some action in, and you got to put some time in, and you got to be focused, and you got to pay attention. And it's going to require some energy. So personal development is more work than all other kinds of investments. And I'm not saying that in a tongue-in-cheek way. I'm telling you that in a factual way. Personal development is more work than other forms of investment. This is why 98% of people do not do any form of personal development. So if you're listening to this show, you're part of the 2% who's actually interested in this kind of stuff. And I would suggest that you stay in that 2%. I would suggest, but again, you don't have to, but don't say nobody told you. The extra work involved in personal development is what makes you better as a person. Nobody can just get better just by, you don't get better by osmosis. All right? You have to actually do something if you want to get better. You have to actually work on your game. But if you're not doing any work, you shouldn't expect to have any game. I mean, everyone logically understands that. Everybody logically understands that. Even the 98%ers who don't want to do personal development, they understand they're not going to get better without doing the work, and then they just sit around and don't do the work anyway, even though they agree with what I just said. So why is this point about belief? You might agree with everything that I just said, but why did I say belief is the most important thing? Here's why. Because if you don't believe in yourself and your ability to apply and your willingness to apply what is given to you, you will fail, and your investment then becomes a cost. See, the only difference between a cost and an investment is what you do with it. See, a cost is something where you put in time, money, attention, energy, focus, and you get nothing back. That's a cost. An investment is when you put in time, money, attention, energy, focus, and you get something back that is actually more than what you put in. That makes it an investment. And really a cost, you could also call a cost an investment too, but it's just a bad investment. See, a good investment pays you back more than what you put in. A bad investment pays you back less than what you put in. So in a way, you can look at both of them as investments. But an investment that pays you back less than what you put in, I call that a cost, also known as a cost. So assuming that you're investing in something or someone who knows their shit, the variable is not them because they already know their shit. The variable is you. Everybody follow me? Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is how to make sure that you make your money back. Make a return investment from any personal development investment that you make. Stop counting your pennies. In other words, stop being cheap. Stop being penny wise and pound foolish, as they say. And this is specifically for those of you who are not familiar with the concept of investing in yourself, the concept of personal development, the concept of going out and, again, doing things to intentionally, this is my definition of personal development, doing things to intentionally increase your personal value. That is what personal development is. Intentionally, not by accident, not by default, but on purpose. I'm going to do this because it's going to increase my value as a human being. That is personal development. So if it's not intentional, it's not personal development. Investment in yourself builds you. All right, does not necessarily build your bank account. It builds you as a person. Now, when you build you as a person, that is the being part, right? Now we know the be, do, have principle. You build the being, which is you. Then, because you have built the being, what happens? That alters and enhances your doing. Those are the actions that you take. That's what you do at work. And then, because you're doing things better, what happens? The results change, i.e. the having. So because you invest in the being, the doing is enhanced and the having is bolstered. That is how personal development works. And it works in that order. If you try to do it out of order, it won't work. You got to follow the chain of command here. Being is at the top of the totem pole. Doing is second and having is third. Many people, though, do things out of order and then they wonder why things aren't working. Well, I just told you why. You think of the cost of some personal investment that you may be hesitant to make right now. All right, you've seen a book you like, but you don't want to pay for it. Seen a course that you want to sign up for, but you'll wait till next time. There's a coach that you want to hire, but you think it costs too much. There's an event you want to go to, but you don't want to spend that much money on a flight and a hotel. Then, all right, so think that, you got that in your head, right? Okay, now ask yourself when you have spent an equivalent amount of money in dollars on something else. So that book that you want to get, it costs $9.95 for the shipping for the book. I'll give you the book free, just pay $9.95 for the shipping. You don't want to pay that because you don't want to pay $9.95 for the shipping. Okay, now here's the question. I'm not going to convince you why you need to do it, but here's my question to you. What else have you spent $9.95 on that has given you absolutely nothing in exchange? Where else have you spent $9.95 and you have shit to show for it? So you didn't think twice about that, but you want to think twice about investing in some personal development that's going to make you better. Oh, there's a course. It costs $500. It costs $497 for the course. You don't want to invest in the $497 course, but you went on vacation to Vegas or you went on vacation to Miami and you paid $497 for the hotel room, and tell me one positive benefit that you are still seeing from your life today from that trip. Or you went to Vegas and the hotel room was free, but you spent $800 in a casino, you didn't win any money. Tell me one positive benefit you're living out right now in your life from that $497 investment that you made at the roulette wheel. It is a coach that you want to hire, you don't want to pay, but you've invested this much in going to the movies and going to the mall and then those sneakers that you got on. What has any of that done to enhance your being as a person, which will help you do better, which will help you produce more ROI in the long run? Name one thing. If you can't answer these questions, here's what you're doing. And I talked about this in my book, Work on Your Game. You're doing what I call hustling backwards. You know what hustling backwards means? Hustling backwards means you're working hard, but you're working hard on things that are taking you in the wrong direction. And people do this all the time. They hustle backwards. They are trying to save. You're trying to save your resources, but the problem is you're saving the wrong resources, and then you're using those saved resources on things that are not even helping to move you forward. They're either moving you backward or keeping you neutral. So you're hustling, but you're going backwards because the world's moving forward and you're staying in the same spot. This is what people do all the time, and they have perfectly logical, justifiable reasons for not investing in themselves. And when you do this experiment that I just said, think of something that you might have got involved in that was a personal development investment, but you didn't do it because of the cost was prohibitive to you, but you spent that same amount of money on some bullshit. Now, this is proof that you're willing to spend that amount of money. So it's not that you don't have the money, and it's not that you are hesitant to spend the money. The only question is, what are you willing to spend it on? You see, investing in yourself is not something that you are incapable of because of the cost. And many people use that as an excuse. All right, I can't invest in that because it costs too much. Well, that's not true, because you invested in going to the movies. All right, if you go to the movies, you can buy a book off Amazon. I mean, right or wrong. All right, if you can go to the design district, and if you ever been here to Miami, we got an area called the design district. It's all high-end shops. So you got the Louis Vuitton store, the Louis Vuitton store, you got Tom Ford, you got what other store? Name any high fashion brand. They all got a store down here in the design district. I see people out in the design district all the time. And so if you go to the design district and you could buy yourself some Gucci sandals, then you could sign up for that course. It's going to help you be smarter. It's going to help you build your mindset. It's going to help you be a more disciplined individual. It's not that you have a problem with spending the money. It's just a matter of what you spend the money on. Usually, people's reasons for not investing in themselves is money. That's 99 out of 100 times is, well, I don't have the money. Or not that they don't have it, or they just don't want to spend it. It's not that they don't have it. Everybody has money. One analogy that I heard someone say a long time ago is that if you got locked up in jail and you knew you were innocent and the bail to get you out was X, whatever the cost is of that thing that you're hesitant to invest in, all right, could you come up with the money? Of course you could. So everybody has money. What stops most people from investing in themselves is the mindset that they don't have that will be required to allocate your resources towards something that does not necessarily produce immediate gratification. And that's really the problem. The thing that stops most people from investing in themselves is that they want immediate gratification, and personal development usually does not involve immediate gratification. This is why the most successful people understand the concept of time perspective that I talked about in episode 777, which is this. The more successful the person, the longer their time perspective. In other words, the further into the future they project the ramifications and the results of their actions. Whereas the less successful the person, the more they have a need to get an immediate result from anything that they do. So anything that produces a long-term result, they will not do. They only do things to give them short-term dopamine hits and short-term happiness or short-term satisfaction. The problem with short-term satisfaction is that you got to keep chasing it. Then eventually you become a fiend for the short-term hit. So you see where that takes you? Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is how to make sure you guarantee yourself a return on investment on any personal development investment. Number 3, know your outcome. What will make this worthwhile for you? What do you want to learn? Who do you want to meet? How do you want to feel? In episode 2043, the topic was what and why over how. When you know what you want and you know why you want it, you will either figure out the how, or you will make any how work out in your favor, even if the how was not of your choosing. This is the power of intentions. This is the power of knowing your outcome. This is the power of having clear objectives. And this is also, conversely, the biggest problem that many people have is that they don't have a clear outcome. Therefore, their intentions are unclear. They got too many different disparate ideas in their minds all at the same time. And they're trying to focus on more than one thing at a time, which is humanly impossible. They have more than one priority, which is an oxymoron. If you have more than one priority, you have zero priorities. And then they are confused as to why they're not producing the results and getting the success that they want. As if everything that they're doing is not contributing to their exact problem. The reasons are, I'll tell you the reasons why you're not getting what you want if you have these issues. You are doing too much, you are doing things in the wrong order, and you are not following the strategy. All right, those are all the bad news. Let me tell you the good news. If you start investing in yourself and aligning yourself with the right people, all of those issues will be solved and more. Let me tell you what those issues are again. Your intentions are unclear. When your intentions are unclear, all of these issues are going to show up. All right, you need to know your outcome. You need to have clear objectives. Intentions, outcome, objectives. But the biggest problem people have is that they don't have a clear outcome. They don't actually know what they want. Therefore, you can't be clear in your intent because you don't know where you're going. It's like you can't have clear directions driving if you don't have a destination plugged into the GPS. You have too many different disparate ideas in your mind at once. In other words, you have 10 different ideas that each one of them will pull you in 10 different directions and you can't decide even which one to focus on at a time. You're trying to do a little bit of each one at once. You're going an inch deep and a mile wide. That's not going to work. I talked about that in episode 1155. Let me make sure that's the right one. That was episode number 1254. Inches and miles. Inch wide, you're going an inch deep and a mile wide rather than an inch deep and a mile wide. You got to get clear on your objectives. There's also, conversely, the biggest problem many people have. They don't have a clear outcome, no clear intentions, too many different ideas. You have more than one focus, which is impossible. You have more than one priority, which is also impossible, but you think that you do. So you're trying to do something that's impossible, so you will not succeed. Then you're confused as to why it's not working. When you're doing too many things, you're doing them in the wrong order, and you don't have a strategy, things are not going to work. I don't know if that's news to anybody. Here's the good news, though. When you invest in yourself and align yourself with the right people, all those issues will be solved. But you have to take the first step. So let's recap today's class, which is how to make sure you produce a return on investment from any personal growth investment. Point number one, believe in yourself. Number one factor in any investment you make in life is not the investment item or the offer or the service. The number one factor is the person doing the investing, which is you. It is because you are the one who must use, apply, and show up for whatever you signed up for. It does not do the work for you. But if you are not personally invested, other than just your dollars, you will not produce the desired result. The thing about personal development is that you don't just put up your money. You got to put your time, effort, energy, and focus into it. Not just time, attention, energy, and focus into the thing. Not just money. And everything else in life, you can just put up the money. And this is why most people don't do personal development. Number two, stop counting your pennies. All right, investment builds you, the being, which leads to the doing, which leads to the having. This is a long-term play. All right, this is a long game that you're playing when you invest in yourself. And anytime you feel like you can't invest in yourself because of the money, ask yourself, have you spent that amount of money on some bullshit that did nothing back for you? I don't even have to wait for you to answer because the answer is absolutely yes. So what needs to change is not that you need more money. What needs to change is the value that you place on certain things that are giving you nothing back versus the value you place on things that will give you something back. Remember the concept of time perspective from episode 777? The more successful the person, the further into the future they project the results of their actions. The unsuccessful person, the less successful person, let's say, only wants instant gratification. The more successful the person, the further into the future, the more delayed gratification they can accept. And number three, know your outcome. What will make this worthwhile for you? What do you want to learn? Who do you want to meet? How do you want to feel? Episode 2043, I talked about what and why over how. When you know what you want and why you want it, you will either figure out any how you need to figure out, or whatever how is presented to you, you will make it work the way that you want it to work. This is the power of intention and knowing your outcome and having clear objectives. If you don't have those, you're going to keep running into the same walls over and over again, such as doing too much, doing things in the wrong order, and not following the strategy. That is the bad news, but the good news is when you invest in yourself and align with the right people, you can solve all those problems. All that said, you want to invest in yourself and align with the right people. One thing I suggest you do is go to workonyourgameuniversity.com, where I have 2 coaching programs. My one-on-one program, which is my 3rd-day mastermind, and my group program, which is my bulletproof mastermind, where you can connect with the right type of people, me being one of them. You can share your challenges, get solved solutions to your challenges, make sure you have a clear framework and strategy for where you're going and what you're doing, whether it's business-wise, professionally, or both. And you can connect with some people that maybe could help you do some things that you can't do yourself, or help you offload some things that you don't need to be doing yourself. All of that at workonyourgameuniversity.com. And to get my daily motivation text message for everybody, make sure you text me at my number, which is 305-384-6894. Work on your game. Dre all day.